Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to episode 3 of Hey, I'm Playing That. And yes, right now I am playing a ton of Fallout 4, a little bit of Muramasa Rebirth for the PS Vita. But with those sort of deeply involved games, I like to just play something that's not going to be, I guess, a heavy playthrough experience. And as such, I've been playing, as I take breaks from those games, I have been playing quite a bit of Crash of the Titans. A fairly uncommon game. I see new copies going for roughly $80 to $90 and used copies still fetching about $40. And this is all the classic stuff from Crash Bandicoot, the original ones, but obviously for the Xbox 360 PS3 generation, the difference is they're a little more heavily involved. The little blue orbs you see me gathering are called Mojo, and as you gather more of them, you gain new abilities, new combat abilities and whatnot. And right now I'm basically the equivalent of a woolly mammoth. We'll call him, for lack of a better term, we'll call him Snuffleupagus. You can mount larger creatures, and they each have different abilities. This guy's sort of a slow plodding tank. He's got heavy melee abilities. Later on, you get a wolf that's got sort of shooting abilities, and he comes in handy for targeting different far-off enemies. He even has something called a sniper mode. The game plays great. For the kind of platformer it is, it actually looks pretty gorgeous. Like I said, I don't think this game got a fair shake when I look back on it, because I think people had grown sort of tired of the collectathon platformers, which this definitely is, and I guess that would be a negative about it. But at the same time, we really don't get platformers like this anymore. So I feel like this didn't get a fair shake, and looking back on it, it's a solid title. I would definitely recommend this to anybody who's remotely a fan of Crash Bandicoot. Even if you're not, and you're looking for a platformer, like I said, this game isn't going to be cheap. Used copies are still fetching anywhere between $30 to $40, and brand new copies I've seen go as high as $90 on eBay, in between the 60s, 70s, and 80s on Amazon. So yeah, you're not going to find this game on the cheap by any means, but if you should be at a rummage sale or yard sale or garage sale and you're able to pick it up on the cheap, definitely grab it. This is well worth it, and even if you don't like it, it still commands a fairly high trade value, so trade it in your local game store or at a GameStop or Best Buy, Walmart. I even think Target's taking used games now. So yeah, this is Crash of the Titans. Fairly solid action platformer. Like I said, you can see the colors are bright and crisp, and it performs all of its functions really well. So this is by no means a perfect platformer. We're not talking about a Mario-type platformer here or any of the early Sonic games, but this definitely has its charm, and I feel like we need to see we've seen so many remakes and so many HD remasters, but Crash Bandicoot has never gotten that. I would love to see Crash 1, 2, and 3 and the original Crash Team Racing released in an HD pack. Even if it was just a digital release and I know that Sony probably still owns some of the licensing for that, if not all of the licensing for that. So even if it ended up on the PS4, I would be happy with that. But as it stands, this one was from Sierra, and I think this was at the time that Activision had already picked up Sierra. So, like I said, definitely worth checking out. I've had a blast playing it. I think the last save I had, I'm about 5-6 hours into it. Looks like a fairly long game for a platformer. Lots to do. It reminds me of the early Jack and Daxter stuff that we got early on, where there was a lot more to do than just point A to point B platforming. And Crash is definitely a lot of fun as they incorporate all of his sort of goofy abilities, like spinning his legs to be a helicopter while you double jump. You spin around like one of the abilities I have is you spin around like a top. And if you do it too long, you end up being dizzy and you're vulnerable to enemy attacks. So you have to balance all of your attacks well. I wouldn't say you have to balance them perfectly, but you have to balance them well, otherwise you leave yourself open to attack. The boss fights have been pretty entertaining, and the heavy enemies, as I will call them, like this wolf that you're seeing on the screen right now. Like I said, each one of their abilities is unique. So actually playing as them offers a different twist on the gameplay. Like as you see, he's throwing fireballs at an enemy I couldn't melee attack at all, and that sort of thing is enjoyable to me, just because you don't play straight through as the same character. Very reminiscent, I guess, of the Super Mario template of gaining new suits for new abilities. So yeah, I would highly recommend this game to anybody who's a Crash fan. Definitely recommend it for anybody who just likes a good old-fashioned action platformer. Like I said, not super complicated, but enough challenge there to keep you entertained and to keep you invested in the game. Like I said, I'm having a blast. By no means perfect, and like I said, if you don't like collectathons, maybe this isn't for you, but I certainly enjoyed it. The high water mark for platformer games for me, and there's probably going to be some people who watch this and hear this and groan, but I would definitely say that the high water mark for me for the last generation of consoles for platformers was Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. I had a blast with that. At the time, that game was frowned upon, but as time has passed, we have seen that game is definitely better than what was better than initial reaction. We'll put it that way, and I think that's this Crash game as well. It got mediocre to slightly above average reviews, but I would say, looking back at it, it's a competent platformer with enough depth to keep most players entertained. So that's episode 3 of Hey, I'm Playing That, Crash of the Titans for the Xbox 360 from Sierra Games. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.